All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed those photos. We really, again, want to thank all of the kids at the Mason Middle School Leo's Club. They've been supporters of us and been doing prevention awareness activities for small talk for the last several years now. We're just really excited to see, even despite all the challenges that this pandemic is causing for everybody, that they're still out there and making sure that those people who have to drive into work or to the grocery store are still seeing those pinwheels and the prevention signs up during Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is really great. So we again want to thank them for all their efforts and continuing to further the cause. It's really important. So our next segment is our one that we really enjoy. It's our special guest segment. So we have a really, really special guest today. So it's somebody who's new and not new to small talk at the same time. So we have Tess with us today. So she is our newest employee at Small Talk as a crisis counselor, but she is also, fun fact for trivia, if you ever have trivia night and they ask this question, Tess was one of our first master's level interns a few years back, and then came back and is now a full-fledged employee. So welcome back, Tess.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back.
Awesome. Well, cool. So one of the things that we did last week, and we want to continue sort of the tradition, is to do just a short icebreaker with you. So I'll hand it over to Sarah and she can introduce that, and we'll get to learn a little bit more about you.
Okay. Yeah, so Tess, I'm going to share my screen so you can see our big wheel of questions.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I can see, yes, now I can see it.
Okay. All right, you ready for me to spin it?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, okay, we just talked about this the other day, but I think that's before you came on. So what's a weird food combination you like?
I can think of a couple, but I'm kind of weird about my food. I'm one of those people that likes all of my food to be in its own little separate spots on its plate. And if any of it touches, I usually don't eat those parts. But a couple things that I do like, when I was younger, my grandma introduced me to dipping potato chips into vanilla pudding. And it's like the sweet and salty kind of thing. And it's actually really, really delicious. And every time I eat it, it makes me think of her. And then another one that I like is on baked potatoes, I will put barbecue sauce and sour cream on my baked potatoes. And it's actually really good.
That does sound good. All right. I think that we will end the icebreaker there then. Go on to the more normal questions. Thanks for doing that with us, Tess. Yeah.
Alex, you need to unmute yourself.
It happened again.
Starting off strong.
Well, this is the theme of this episode, is that Alex can't unmute himself when it's time for him to talk. So good to know. Hopefully this will not be a continuing thing. It'll be good for the blooper reel when we're all done.
Right.
So, all right. So one of the questions that, I wanted to ask you, Tess, was, you were an intern for us a few years ago. Great, wonderful intern. And then, we were lucky enough to have you come back as an employee when we had a job opening. So can you tell us a little bit about, going back a couple of years, what made you want to come to Small Talk in the first place, and then what made you want to return a few years later as an employee?
Yeah, so when I was doing my undergraduate program, when I was going to Saginaw Valley, part of one of my social work classes was we had to volunteer for 40 hours over the semester for a social service agency in the area. And I was volunteering at the CAN Council, which stands for Child Abuse and Neglect Council. And they are located in Saginaw, and I believe they have a location in Bay City too, but I can't remember. It's been a long time. But I did a lot of just clerical stuff there. But just what I what I learned during my time there, and kind of having my eyes open to kind of this side of providing services to kids, and realizing that this was a service that is out there for kids and how great the need is for it. I feel like that really kind of sparked a joy in my heart to be able to work in that arena and provide that service for kids who have been through some pretty awful stuff. So then as I was looking for internships during my graduate program at MSU, I was offered the option to come and interview at Small Talk, and it was kind of scary because I didn't really have a whole lot of experience working with kids. I had more experience on the clerical side of being at a CAC, but just the overall vibe of the environment and just the people at Small Talk really made it a good transition for me and really helped challenge some of the skills that I had developed as a developing clinician, and made it so I was able to kind of carry those over to working with kids and really help with healing some of the traumas that they've been through. So overall, the work I was doing, the people I was working with, and the clients I was serving really brought me into Small Talk originally and made me want to come back.
Awesome. That's great. And I unmuted this time, so that's good too. We're all winning.
Yes.
So so one of the things that you did actually during your internship, Tess, I thought was really cool was you were coordinating Take Back the Night at MSU,
Yes.
And you had actually invited us to kind of come and have a table just to kind of get the word out about Small Talk to the community at MSU, which was a really cool opportunity for us. I know that's a really cool event, one that's been around for a really long time. It's really important, and usually that's done during Sexual Assault Awareness Month or Child Abuse Prevention Month, so in April. Can you talk a little bit about your coordination of that program, kind of what it meant to be a part of that process, and why talking about and having conversations about sexual assault and child abuse is such an important thing for us to discuss as a community?
Yeah, definitely. So I was actually not familiar with Take Back the Night before I was going to school at MSU. I went to a much smaller university that didn't have a program like that. And then to be presented with that while I was at MSU and have the opportunity to really kind of take hold of it and help with coordinating it with a group of really great people was an awesome experience. And I did it 2 years in a row. And I think just people don't realize a lot of the services that are out there, and they don't realize how prevalent some of these issues are. So specifically with Take Back the Night, it historically has been kind of an opportunity for survivors to come and share their stories, whether it be from some sort of child abuse, child sexual abuse, or something that they experienced as they were older, as an adult. And I think really having Small Talk there kind of filled a void that we had been missing the first year before I was familiar with Small Talk. We had a lot of great resources for adults and for people who were kind of healing from past experiences, but not really anything to address the people who had experienced it as children, or for parents to know that resource was in place. So I think it was really important to bring Small Talk in and say, hey, this is a great event for adults to be at, but we also have these other services in place for, this trauma that can happen to anybody. And it unfortunately happens to a lot of kids. So for parents to know that Small Talk is in place and that we are offering all these great services, I think really filled a void in the resource area of Take Back the Night. Did I hit all the parts of that question?
Yes, that was
Okay.
perfect. Great answer.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, and I mean, again, we really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come out and just, get in front of some new people and, be a part, because it's a really cool event and it's great to be a part of it. It's really powerful. There's so many visuals that I think are really impactful for me that, I'll carry with me for the rest of my life for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a great event, and hopefully this time next year, it'll be something that will be able to be held again. It's unfortunate that this is the timing of everything, but hopefully it'll be something that they can carry on once the world kind of gets back together a little bit.
Yes, I hope so too. So, you're one of our counselors, you're our newest counselor, but you're certainly not new to providing therapy and counseling to people. So, in your, you've gotten several years of experience now since you've been at Small Talk. What do you find to be most rewarding about, doing this kind of work?
I think really, and that's a question that I think we often get asked, especially working with this population, because it is tough to hear a lot of these stories that we hear. But I think just from my experience as an intern and now as a full employee of the agency, I think really just seeing the healing that can take place in both children and families, and just building those connections with children and the healthy caregivers that are in their lives, and showing them that yes, this bad thing happened to you, but you can recover from it and you are strong, and these are some skills that you can learn and carry with you throughout your life to heal from this. It's like we say, something bad happened to you, but that doesn't make you bad. You can overcome this. So I think just seeing that and being able to provide that hope and that resilience for the children and families that we serve is the most rewarding thing for me.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So we wanted to also, our last question is one that we want to kind of carry through for the life of this show. So it's one that we had talked about doing for every guest. So you're actually going to be the first guest that gets to answer the question that's going to be asked of every guest that's going to come on the show. So no pressure. Right. Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of talk, especially at this time, about, what a hero is, or, doing heroic things. So we, especially during this time of, COVID-19, we're hearing a lot about the doctors and nurses and, grocery store workers and people who are working at restaurants really making like some significant sacrifices and taking some huge risks so that we can, continue to be fed and, not get sick and recover. Like,
Right.
These are really important things, especially now at this time that we're in. So, especially in the context of, right now, and also in the context of the work that we do, what do you think it means to be a hero, like right now in this moment?
Yeah. And I think everybody's really had this question on their mind lately with kind of changing their viewpoint of what a hero is, because typically you think of, a superhero or somebody who does all these brave, courageous things. But I think the people that you listed off already, the doctors, the nurses, the people who are still making the world operate in some sort of normalcy. I mean, those are the people who are really being brave and courageous and putting themselves on the line for the good of other people every single day. And I think that's really kind of what it comes down to, is it doesn't even have to be this big heroic, look what I did act. It's those small selfless things for the doctors, the nurses, the grocery store workers, the garbage collectors, everybody, of just getting up and going to work right now is very heroic. And I think that we need to hopefully continue the viewpoints that we have right now after things kind of settle down, of still seeing those people as the heroes that they are and seeing the value that they bring. But really, I think it really is just that selflessness and not asking for recognition for it. It's great to celebrate when people do great things, but sometimes noticing those small things that they do every single day. Without those things, our lives wouldn't still be functioning in some sort of normal way. So just the fact that they get up and go to work right now in this scary, uncertain time is really amazing and really heroic.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Well, again, I want to thank you, Tess, for taking the time to come and talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you at work tomorrow.
Yes.
But again, thank you for joining us, and on behalf of Sarah and Megan, thank you guys again for tuning in to our second episode of Big Conversations with Small Talk, and we will see you guys next week.